A beautiful morning to you. You're welcome to another exciting edition of ATN Sports Personality Show on Atlantic Television Network. And of course, today it promises to be another exciting time where we take a look at, this time we're going to take a look at Delta State due to their progress in the National Youth Game. They are they are Nigeria's 8th National Youth Games winners, and that just got concluded. And of course, they did it in a very, very spectacular fashion. And that's why we're going to take a look at how they were able to come about with this particular result this time around. I tell you, it promises to be an exciting time this morning, taking a look at the progress of Delta State when it has to do with the National Youth Game, not just the National Youth Game, sport as well in the country. So we urge you to sit tight as we're very ready this morning to unravel all that you need to know about Delta State this morning. We'll take a short break. When we'll come back from the break, of course, we'll bring you the latest about Delta State. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
The people of Maiduguri need your help. A catastrophic flood has engulfed the city, leaving over 1 million residents stranded and fighting for survival. Entire communities are submerged, with people trapped inside homes and on rooftops cut off from food, clean drinking water, and essential supplies. Health experts are warning of a potential outbreak of deadly diseases, and medical facilities are out of commission. The situation is dire. Helicopters, boats, and high-riding trucks capable of navigating the treacherous, waterlogged areas are urgently required to reach the countless men, women, and children still awaiting rescue. The Nigerian media is issuing a desperate plea to the government, humanitarian organizations, international actors, and citizens across the nation. Step in now, before it's too late. For more information on how you can help, contact Professor Usman A. Tar, the Honorable Commissioner for Information and Internal Security, 0809-233-3955. Every second counts.
This is powered by Atlantic Television Network.
Welcome back to the Sports Personality Show on Atlantic Television Network, and of course, we told you we're talking about Delta State today because of their progress in the just concluded National Youth Game, where they topped the medal table once again. Was really an exciting one in talking about the 8th edition of the National Youth Game down here in Nigeria. And joining me to take a look at this fantastic progress, you say, for Delta State is Dr. Elechi Obuke, one man who knows Delta State very well. Good morning to you, Doctor. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Kingsley, and good morning to our viewers.
All right, Doctor, we're very happy to have you this morning. And one man who's been away for some time, thank God we have him this morning, Miracle Onyekazi. Good morning to you, and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good morning, Kingsley. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Port Harcourt.
All right, let's take a look at Delta State. It was really a very impressive outing. But before we look at Delta State, based on their last outing at the National Youth Games, let's talk about the National Youth Games. We understand the National Youth Games is an annual event aimed at growing the youth and to become skilled sportsmen and women. The youth sports event in Nigeria is a brainchild, which is National Games, is a brainchild of the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan administration. Now, it is a multi-sport event organized by the federal government of Nigeria through the National Sport Commission for athletes from the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. Now, talking about the history of the game, the main edition of the National Youth Games held in 2013 at the main bowl of the National Stadium, Abuja. The event was opened by the Vice President, Namadi Sambo, who was represented by Malam Bolaji Adulahi, Chairman, National Sports Commission. The maiden event had in attendance over 4,000 athletes drawn from the different states in Nigeria and the Federal Capital Territory. The aim of the festival is to harness talent among the youths in Nigeria and also ensure unity and togetherness among different states. Before we take a look at the the 8 editions of the National Games since it was put up in 2013. Doc, what do you make of the National Youth Games since it was put up by President Goodluck Jonathan, Jonathan administration? What do you make of the National Youth Game? How have you seen the game since 2013?
Now, I would really want to say a big thank you to our former president, Goodluck Jonathan, for having that vision to seeing how we can harness or catch them young. Because if you watch from the from that time, 2013 till date, a lot of talents has been produced, and some has graduated, some couldn't also move up the ladder to the next level of their pursuit. But the intent of the games had not been solely defeated, because if you check, a lot of athletes had been produced, and we must always try to leverage on what these presidents have done for us and ensure that the organization and everything is put in order to ensure that we produce, or the aim of the National Youth Game is achieved. Now we have athletes from age, I think 8 or thereabouts.
From 15 below.
From 15 below,
yes,
participating.
That's the age range.
And if you check, these are what we also have in other countries. As small as Botswana. Botswana have a similar program that runs from primary school, secondary school, and they graduate. That is where we're able to have the likes of Tobago that won the 200 meter in the Olympics.
Yeah.
So what we need as a nation or as a country is to see how we can reap the full benefit of the game. sustenance, at least we must give kudos to the organizer. They have been able to sustain the game from that 2013 till this last edition. Kudos must be given to them. It is not always an easy thing for a festival of that nature to run from that time till now, taking into consideration the kind of country we come from and the way corruption has taken over, eating deep into the system. But the sports ministry and the organizers have been able to keep this competition from that time till now. So, but what we need is for us to move to the next level. Now, how do we now harness and nurture these talents from the time they are being catched till when they get to limelight, where everybody will now know that this person is a world star. At that time, they should have been able to know how to do things on their own, because this youth, there is always this youthful exuberance that they want to go into this, they want to go into that, they want to do this, they want to. So they need that follow-up. If there is this follow-up, then at the end of the day, we won't say that the National Sports Festival is a total failure. No. Kudos must be given to the organizers.
You know, talking about it being, you just said, talking about it being total failure, a lot of persons are targeted to be a failure because the games to be a failure because a lot we've not been able. I don't know miracle if you've actually seen an athlete that have come up from the national youth game, and today the athlete is competing in the world stage this time around, because a lot of persons since 2013 have found it difficult to identify a talent that have been spotted in national youth games, and today the athlete is performing in the world stage. What do you make of this? Do you think we've actually, benefited from this national youth game since it was put up in 2013 in terms of, harnessing talents from the game?
Yeah, Kingsley. I feel a lot of athletes have been able to, pick up a lot from the national youth games, because we know that grooming this young athlete from a very youthful age is what keeps them going when they even become, adults, and when they get that experience when it comes to the sports they're participating in. And having said the question you asked, if this athlete, if we've benefited from the national youth game in harnessing talents, I wouldn't say we've not benefited, because I know that the likes of S.A. Brume actually participated in the national youth games at an early age, and we've seen the kind of athlete S.A. Brume has come out to become on the world stage representing Nigeria as a whole and doing well for herself. I just have a problem with, the sports ministry and proper planning, because these athletes, we know that we have a lot of talent in the country, and when we groom these athletes, and these athletes grow up to become adults and find out that things are not being done or in the right way, or things are not put in place, and they then now go on to represent other countries in the world, representing Great Britain, representing South Africa, other top countries in the world that have put their sports in place and that are doing the right thing, that have the right guys and the right men at the helms of affairs over there. So we need to put a lot in place this time around, because the sports ministry for me has not really done much when it comes to developing, when it comes to, other development status that can make these athletes become, consistent or become that good, challenge at the top levels, diamond leagues, at the Olympics as well. So I feel like our sports ministry should be the ones to blame. We've done well. These athletes haven't come out to represent the country is enough. But because of the lack of proper development and the lack of infrastructure, proper planning, we failed these athletes.
The national games was put up to make sure that we harness talents, but if we take a look at it, if you take a look at the athletes, that we've been able to harness from this particular one, we can't really, beat our hands on our chest and say at least we've produced or sports enough talents since 2013. This is 2024. We can't really, say we've gotten enough talent, from this national youth games. I don't know what could be the reason. I think two major factors are responsible for the transition of the athletes from the youth level to the senior level. One, you have to look at the monitoring and mentoring. Monitoring. How are these
monitoring, mentoring, and follow-up? How are these athletes being monitored? Now, it is one thing having a competition and producing a star. Now, how do you monitor, mentor, and nurture and follow up this athlete for the athlete to achieve the full potential that such athlete has? And when you don't follow up, it becomes very difficult. You know, the kind of country we are is will I say we are a third world country, or will I say we are underdeveloped? Because I can't say we are developed. Because if the sports ministry and the state sports ministry, both at the national level and the state level and the local government level, there is a measure put in place to ensure that every athlete that emerges from the national youth game is followed up, mentored, nurtured. Competitions are put in place. When these youths are busy, they will not have time for other things. But when they are not followed up, when they are not mentored, when there is no system to check them, it becomes very difficult. For instance, I will give you an example. Somebody who is within the age of 13 and he knows that this coming year he's going to travel to Sweden for a competition. Such athlete, youth athlete, all his intent, all his thinking will be towards that youth game in Sweden. So it is one thing having the national youth game. It is another thing trying to nurture these stars to become an elite athlete. But we don't have such program in place.
The system is not there.
The system is not there. So anyone that is able to come up is by God's grace, by personal effort, by showing so much commitment to the game. But if you have a system that follows up this, like for instance, we have finished these games. Those that finish within the bracket of first, second, third, you already have a game for them between now and December. They are going to move to Kenya to have an athletic meet. By the time they finish in Kenya, by next year you have shadow programs for them between next year, and they are working toward, even as they go to school, you still monitor their growth in school, but as much as they are still going to school, you have also shadow programs for them, events. If they leave Kenya, they are going to Norway. By the time a child who is 13 years, 14 years have moved to Kenya, South Africa, Norway, Sweden, the next thing he's thinking about is what? How to become a great athlete. You have already opened the doors for such athletes to change his narrative and his thinking. He's already thinking towards becoming a great athlete because of what he has seen or what she has seen. But when such opportunity is not there, the athlete is not even thinking about that. He will just have his mindset set on maybe within that his locality. They say traveling is part of what? Education. So when an athlete moves, a junior youth athlete moves out, you will also see other athletes. It's not just about watching Usain Bolt or watching Tobago. By the time you goes to, for instance, Tobago won the 200 meter. You take all the field and all the 100 meter, the sprint athletes, take them to Botswana. See how they can meet with this great athlete. It's an opportunity.
All right, let's see. Of course, things will go down when it has to do with national game. But Miracle, another factor that has brought decline to the growth of the national youth game as a sport in Nigeria is age cheats. Most of the time, we've seen this state, whenever they want to come participate for the national game, they bring overage athletes. We understand the normal age for the national game is 15 below. But sometimes you see some states coming up with a 17 years old athlete, 18 and thereabouts. How do you think the sport ministry should tackle this issue? I think the last two edition they brought issue of NIN to know the proper age of the athletes, but this time I think there was no measure to tackle that, and I think for me it has at some point hinder the growth of the national youth game and also hinder the process of sporting talent at the end of the day. How do you think the sport ministry should tackle the issue of age cheats in the national game? Because it's a very, very important aspect that should be looked at for. Because whereby an overage athlete is performing in a competition whereby a talent is supposed to be spotted at least from the age of 18 and below and the rest of them, it does not really go well. It does not really, it doesn't bring transparency, to the game. So how do you think the sport ministry should tackle the issue of age cheats when it has to do with the national youth games?
Yeah, for me, Kingsley, age cheat is something that has started not just today in the national youth games, but it has been something that have been known for a very long time in Nigeria when it comes to sports. We've seen age cheat in the senior teams category, National Youth Festival. We've seen age cheat in the national teams. We've seen age cheat a lot of a lot of areas in the country when it comes to sports development. And the Western world have made it easier for us. We now have the MRI scans where they take these scans and know if this player is really the age or is really what he says he is. But bringing that below that are above 15 years participating in under 10 events and competitions, which is not really good for the development of the athletes and development of our sports here down here in the country. So I feel like if the MRI scan can be put in place in the next National Youth Games, yes, it will be the way forward for me, and it shall help to stop those age cheats maneuvers that have been taking place over the years in our sports.
Doc, is it that the sport ministry can afford the MRI scan? Because I remember last edition of it, they were saying the machine, the MRI, gadgets or machine is very, very expensive.
How expensive is it? How expensive do they think the MRI scan machine is? This is something they can easily afford. You see, the problem we have in Nigeria is not the cost or the cost of equipment. It is about our ability to see how we bring in the best for the people. We don't have the people at heart. What we think as a people or as individuals who occupy offices is how much that can get into our pockets. How much did they mark for the office of social officer? How much did they use in buying their cars? If you check how much they mark for themselves, it's so much. It is a system. And when they fail to understand that the system you are destroying today will affect even your children, it becomes an issue. The MRI scan machine is not expensive. No matter how expensive it is, it can be afforded by the Sports Commission. So I think it's not an excuse. And we need the scan machine so that the issue of age cheat should be a thing of the past. And when we have they could also as well transit or transform to what they are supposed to be. It shouldn't be like
even sometimes the athletes that are over age tend to perform well.
Yes, and when they after that, just like a certain Nigerian player that claimed to be under 17, and when he went to it, they signed him, I think in Belgium or somewhere. And they signed him instead of I wouldn't want to mention his name, but when they started giving him growth food that would make him grow very well to become a man, instead of growing up, he was expanding, and he couldn't play. He became so big that he couldn't play football again, and it's a very bad thing. But I think we need to look at it and see how we put an end to such things.
Okay, let's take a look at the various edition of the National Youth Games. In 2013, the maiden event was hosted in Abuja from December 5th to 15th, 2013, with Cross River State emerging as overall winners in that one. This was closely followed by Akwa Ibom State as first runner-up and Delta State as second runner-up. The events recorded 4 gold medals, 3 silver medals and 7 bronze medals. And in 2016, the second edition was hosted in Ilorin from 21st to 30th of September 2016. Ilorin also hosted the events in 2017, 2018, and 2019 and 2021 respectively. Now, this was largely due to the success recorded during 2016 events, which was hosted in Ilorin. Also, it was reported that the University of Ilorin and the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sport Development had signed a memorandum of agreement to host the games in the University of Ilorin for 5 years. Now, Team Delta was known for winning the competition back-to-back after its maiden edition till 2021 since its inception in 2013. And in 2017, third edition of the event was hosted in New as well, with Delta State emerging overall winners. This was closely followed by Team Lagos in second position, while Team Edo finished third after the event. So Team Delta had 60 gold, 27 silver, and 29 bronze medals. Team Lagos had 19 gold, 26 silver, and 28 bronze medals, while Team Edo had 18 gold, 10 silver, and 11 bronze medals. In 2023, the 7th edition of the event was to be hosted in Delta State and originally scheduled to hold from February 8 to 18, 2023 at the Dennis Osadebe University, Asaba, Delta State. And the event was postponed to a later date due to the general elections in Nigeria that was scheduled to hold on February 25th, 2023. And the 8th edition, which is of course the edition we're talking about now, Delta State also emerged champions for the 8th edition of the National Youth Game, and they did it, for the second consecutive time. This time they won 46 gold, 31 silver, and 34 bronze, totaling 111 medals, and was declared winner at the closing ceremony held at the Stephen Keshi Stadium, Asaba, Delta State this week. They were closely followed by Team Lagos with 26 gold, 20 silver, and 19 bronze medals, while the third position went to Team Edo with 18 gold, 13 silver, and 28 bronze medals. Recall that Delta State hosted the 7th edition of the games and topped the medals table with 51 gold, 34 silver, and 11 bronze medals. They have now won all editions of the National Youth Games from 2016 to date. Let's hold it there. Doc, what do you make of it? Delta State staging consistency, staging a very impressive dominance in the National Youth Games since 2013.
These are people that I think the state, Delta State Commission, kudos must be given to them, because these people know what it takes to organize the youth, especially using sports to bring them together. And they have been doing this since 2013. Now, they don't just do it, they don't just win by chance. This is a deliberate action by the Sports Commission. That's why I think Amaju Pinnick was also part of the system before he became the NFF president. He was first Delta State FA president. So you see that sports in Delta State is a serious business. If you go to Delta State, you see that almost all the towns or cities in Delta State have a stadium rather. They have different stadia in Delta State. If you go to Ole, if you go to Ueli, if you go to Wari, go to Obiaroko, if you go to Bomadi, Ogwashuku, Asaba, if you go to where we have this university, Delta State University, Abraka, they have sports facilities all over Delta State. I don't want to look at the standard, but the truth is that they have made facilities available for these children to train. They know where they are heading to. Sports is the highest employer of labor in the whole world. If we can organize our sports sector in Nigeria, a chunk of the youth will be driven out of the street. They will be committed. And that is what Delta State is doing. So kudos must be given to the Delta State Sports Commission and all the governors that have come in and didn't neglect what the previous governor had done in that sector. This will mean business. And I think each of the states in Nigeria, every state in Nigeria should emulate from what Delta State is doing. Consistency. They are not winning it. It's not with pride. They are winning it. They are prepared for it. They are coming for it. And check the lives of athletes that they've produced. If you check at the national scene, Delta State had dominated in terms of national athletes. They've dominated. They are always there.
Yeah. All right. At this point, we'll take a break, and we'll come back from the break. Ahmad Miracle, of course, will be telling us, what Delta states are doing that other states, of course, are not doing in Nigeria, because it seems as if they've won the National Youth Games, as a state, having put it up a very impressive performance since 2013, up till now. I tell you, we have to really look at what Delta states are doing that other states are not doing down here in Nigeria. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
The people of Maiduguri need your help. A catastrophic flood has engulfed the city, leaving over 1 million residents stranded and fighting for survival. Entire communities are submerged, with people trapped inside homes and on rooftops cut off from food, clean drinking water, and essential supplies. Health experts are warning of a potential outbreak of deadly diseases, and medical facilities are out of commission. The situation is dire. Helicopters, boats, and high-riding trucks capable of navigating the treacherous, waterlogged areas are urgently required to reach the countless men, women, and children still awaiting rescue. The Nigerian media is issuing a desperate plea to the government, humanitarian organizations, international actors, and citizens across the nation. Step in now, before it's too late. For more information on how you can help, contact Professor Usman A. Tar, the Honorable Commissioner for Information and Internal Security, Borno State, on 0809-233-3955. Every second counts.
This is powered by Atlantic Television Network.
Welcome back as the sports
states and the country as a whole. For me, till other states start to recognize that investing in grooming these young athletes and investing in sports and doing well, not just investing, making sure you're investing in the right sectors of each sport and putting the right people at the hierarchy of these sporting events is an investment. Then I don't see any states coming closer in the nearest future, because Delta states have invested a lot in the past in sports, and we have seen them reap it fruitfully in the future with the kind of athletes they've produced, the likes of Favor Philly, Blessing Okabari, sorry, and Ese Brume as well have done well for they all hail from Delta states, and these young athletes that will be groomed from this current National Youth Games. In the current future, they'll be flying the colors and flying the badge of Delta State. So when you look at those athletes, you ask them, this young athlete, where do you hail from? They will rep, I come from Delta State, and which will be a great joy in the heart of the citizens and the heart of the people of Delta State, having such good athletes for their states. So I feel like till these other states, the likes of Lagos states that have been doing well, the likes of Edo, especially Bayelsa as well, start to recognize that sports is an investment. I feel like
Nigeria hasn't seen sports as an investment, because why would I say that? Now, if you check in River State, let me use River State because prominence. No, it is a deliberate action on the part of the Delta State government and the Delta State people to ensure that they raise the standard of living, especially for those within the local level. It's a deliberate action, and it will be very difficult. Now, let's take that apart. Now, if you check the Delta State as a state, apart from Lagos State, it's only Delta State that you go to that it is not a one-city state. They develop everywhere. So that is how it is with sports. If you go to Delta State, you have, if you go to Warri is the largest city in Delta State. They have Standard Stadium. If you go to Asaba, Asaba has Standard Stadium. If you go to Ogwashuku, they have Standard Stadium. Ole, they have Standard. Even where we have Delta State University of Science and Technology, Ozoro, they have, and that Ozoro Stadium, it was built by the Polytechnic, which was later changed to university. But if you come to if you come to River State, we have no governments. Even if we have a certain facility in the local government, do they make use of it? No. So these people have a way of organizing themselves, looking ahead of time. What can we make of this? How can we remove people out of poverty? Now check, let's look at football. How many people from Delta State have you seen gone overseas to play football? How many from River State? How many Rivers people are in the national team? They are not there. Because our politicians have seen it that it is all about them, and they don't think about the masses.
All right, Doug just talked about River State Miracle. I think they were the only state that didn't participate in the 8th edition of this national youth game. Did they really miss anything from this one?
Yes, for me, yes, they missed a lot for me. Coming out to make such statements, I think the Commissioner for Sports some couple of weeks ago came out to tell us that the states will be having an in-house sporting event before the end of the year, and that was the reason why they weren't able to compete in the national youth games this year. But for me, I feel like it was a very, very disappointing information we had before the National Youth Game actually started. It was a shame that a state like River State couldn't participate, where we had states like Ebonyi participating in. We have states like Bayelsa, Lagos, Akwa Ibom. You can name them top states in the country. Yeah, that competed in gymnastics.
Imagine.
Yeah. She did actually very, very well for herself. It was disappointing that no athletes. I think the youths also be disappointed in the states that they weren't given the opportunity to showcase their talents and participate in the youth, not participating in such events. I feel like the National Sports and Youth Games is something that they already know that happens annually, takes place annually. So not planning for it already was a disappointing. It was a disappointment as a whole, not planning for it, knowing fully well that it's coming up and coming out to the athletes especially.
I think I have to lend my voice on that, and I have to call on the state government and those in charge of sports. We need total restructuring of the sports sector of River State. We need an active sports commission. We need to look at what other Delta State is doing. We need to look at what other countries are doing and see how we can harness the youths. If you check in River State, we have a lot of youths. They have gone into so many activities that they are not supposed to. We need to bring them out. Now, if you check University of Port Harcourt, it becomes a problem.
Sure.
I remember at a certain time, it was the sports director that was in charge of sports in River State. That is how bad it always gets to in River State. Where the director in charge of sports, in the Ministry of Sports, will not be in charge of sports in River State. Sports is not just an ordinary business. It's a big business.
Sure.
Countries overseas are investing huge sum of money to ensure that their sports sector is developed. We can bring in corporate individuals, but individuals cannot come when the house is not in order. True. They talk about Real Madrid Academy. How has it helped us up till now? Who and who has gone to Real Madrid Academy that has moved overseas? If you go to Akwa Ibom, as small as Akwa Ibom, they have several academies. In fact, at the time, there was a scouting team that came to Akwa Ibom just to scout for young talents. This was one thing I had in mind. If things are planned between 2016 till 2017, 2018 had worked, I wanted to open an academy in my own hometown where I will invite scouts from overseas to come and check talents within my locality. This is something that happens in Lagos, Delta State, Akwa Ibom, and some of these states. But River State, you don't see it. When last did you hear that a certain youngster from Port Harcourt moved overseas to play football? It is not news. We don't hear it. But Delta State, Abia, you see the Igbos, you see the Yorubas, the Edo and Delta, the Akwa Ibom, they often move overseas because they have a structure. We don't have the structure here. So I believe we need restructuring of the sports sector in River State so that we can move ahead.
All right, since talking about the 8th edition of National Game at Delta State won 35 states, including the FCT, won medals, excluding Ebonyi State, unlike last year when it was about 27 states, while River State is the only state that failed to participate this time around. And talking about Delta State, and their fortune in sports, Delta has consistently proven its mettle in the sporting sector in Nigeria. The state's excellent track record in sports dates back to 1973, when it won the inaugural edition of the National Sport Festival under the now defunct Bende states. Following the creation of Delta and Edo out of Bende in 1991, it went on its winning streak of the National Sport Festival, culminating in its 7th consecutive triumph. The Brume, the Ugbele-born Olympic long jump specialist, Blessing Okagbari, the Sapele-born long jump and sprint specialist who has won several laurels for Nigeria. Raymond Ekweve, the 2019 100 meters African Games champion. Oserise Osekiri, a former 100 meters National Sport Festival champion and Tokyo 2020 Olympian as well. There's also Efe Ajagba, another Ugbele-born professional boxer who set a record for the fastest victory in boxing history in 2018, among other athletes as well. Clearly, an ocean of ink and forest of papers may not, of course, be enough to list the numerous talents Delta State has produced. Doc, I don't know what you make of it, but before we call it a wrap on the show this morning, how do you think Delta State can continue to sustain this? Because it's not about, yes, one thing is about achieving, another thing is about sustenance. How long do you think they can sustain this?
As long as possible, because they have a structure, they have a system, and the system has been working. If a system can work from 2016 till date and it didn't fail, then what more do you need? All they need is to advance a bit. I think they shouldn't be looking at just sustenance. They should be looking at how to nurture these talents and for them to become greater than what not just within the national level. Okay. They have produced athletes within the national level. Now they should